coaching session the other day, I was asked a question that frankly I get often. The question, why would anyone want to buy from me? The best answer to that actually depends on a number of different situations and influences. But I thought maybe a few others of you out there might be asking yourselves the same question. So here are my thoughts on the subject. If you want your target audience to consider buying from you, you need to understand a few of the factors that go into their normal buying decision. This is only a partial list, of course, but it includes most of the important ones. So factor number 1, customers don't make rational decisions. Why is this? Because most people tend to buy on emotion rather than logic. In other words, they don't just jump onto the computer one morning, see your content or ad, and say, "Wow, that's exactly what I want to buy today." And they usually don't say to themselves, "You know, I really need to upgrade my skills at ancient Mandarin Chinese, so I think I'll buy your course." No, the real truth is, people buy on emotion and then justify that purchase with their own logic. For example, if I'm considering the purchase of a new automobile, I'm usually not looking to buy a new 5.0 Mustang convertible for making the 15-minute commute to my office. Obviously, I have a more emotional reason for making that kind of purchase. So I may end up making the purchase based on those emotional reasons and then justify it through some form of very skewed logic as to why it was a perfectly reasonable idea. Think about your own purchases and then try to fill in the blanks on why you actually made them. And often that'll come down to something like pleasure versus pain. Now you may remember that in previous videos and content, we've discussed the idea that most people make a purchase to solve a problem. And that problem usually involves either eliminating pain or gaining some form of pleasure. As an interesting side note to this, studies show that the average person is 2 times more motivated to avoid pain than to pursue pleasurable feelings. While not true in every situation, it's something to keep in mind when developing your appealing sales message. And that brings us to factor number 2. Customers act on emotion and impulse. This is where the time involved in actually making purchases comes into play. Most marketers know that the sooner you're able to persuade a prospective customer to make a purchase, the better the chances of making that sale. It's a well-known principle that giving a customer more time to consider their decision will usually reduce the amount of their purchases by up to 80%. For example, the other day my wife and I were actively considering buying a pretty cool exercise bike that included all of the bells and whistles. Especially appealing feature was the video road trips you could take while biking yourself back into that perfect vision of fitness. And now you may be seeing who was really most interested in that purchase. Well, we seriously discussed whether to make the purchase or not, and in the end, we began to understand that our motive was pretty much both emotional and impulsive. And we realized that it would probably end up playing out in about the same fashion as our commitment to a gym membership. So by taking more time and considering for the purchase, we overcame that initial emotion and reactive impulse, and we struck it from our list. Smart marketers are very aware of this impulse in all of us. Remember your last trip to the grocery store? Did you happen to notice that the layout of products as you moved up and down the aisles and the pattern of it? If so, you can appreciate how well those marketers know our instincts and habits, and how those habits relate to our purchases. That store layout is constantly changing based on our collective purchases. Now, those changes may not suit your idea of where the products you're searching for should be, but you can be sure that our recent buying activity has been studied, and those products will be placed in the positions that will provide additional sales and profits for the merchant, or they'll be eliminated. Salty snacks, candy bars, or National Enquirer, anyone? So as a marketer of your own products or services, you need to be aware of these normal human responses and perhaps dial up the emotional pitch for what you have to offer. If you're able to make that buying decision more impulsive, the odds improve for speeding up the buying process. For factor number 3, prospective customers hate confusion and overwhelm. Most of the time, offering too many options in a buying process can lead to confusion and a sense of overwhelm in the mind of the buyer. And if they get confused, they'll walk without making a purchase. So when working on your sales message, give some thought to those hot buttons that lead to emotional action. Now please understand, I'm not advocating that you practice manipulative sales tactics. What I am saying is, think about presenting your message in a way that appeals to the very real emotional reasons a prospect goes through when considering important purchases. Does it involve personal appearance or esteem issues, for example? Will it make life easier for them? Will it improve their health or well-being? In other words, how will your product or service help get them off the fence and truly make a good buying decision? And finally, factor number 4 is customers need you to translate value for them. Many times in the buying process, your customer actually doesn't understand the true value of what you're offering them. You may have to translate and make that value very clear. And to do this, you have to make it emotionally meaningful for them. For example, if your product or service offers an opportunity that will bring more freedom to their life, you may want to emphasize something like, "Do you realize what this newfound freedom could mean to you and your family? That you could spend more quality time together? Or what I'm teaching you will give you the tools to," and you can fill in the blanks from there. So to summarize, if you're questioning why anyone should buy from you, it's your job to examine your sales message for those really deep reasons why a prospective customer should find your product or service appealing, and then get those points into your sales message. What are the important benefits that will answer those deep down emotional needs your buyer somehow needs to satisfy? So that's it for today, and as usual, I hope this information has been helpful. Until our next session, I hope you'll continue to make your passion your purpose and embrace that adventure that is you.